Deep beneath Geneva, something goes wrong. Inside a tunnel colder than outer space, 9,000 superconducting magnets hum like a sleeping beast. Engineers stare at a single monitor, temperature climbing where it should be frozen solid. Evacuate, someone whispers. No one moves, because if they're right, 6,000 people are standing above a bomb. 9 days earlier, the world had celebrated the collider's first perfect test. Now, in a sealed chamber 100 meters underground, that triumph is tearing itself apart. A single electrical arc slices through the vacuum line. Liquid helium, 6 tons of it, erupts, expanding with the force of dynamite. Steel bolts shear. Magnets weighing 35 tons each are ripped from their mounts. Sensors scream. Oxygen alarms trigger throughout the tunnel. The ODH sensors are screaming. A voice cracks over the radio. If anyone's still down there. Above ground, tourists are still taking pictures. They have no idea the world's most expensive machine is eating itself alive. Inside the control room, someone says the word quietly. Quench. The monitors flicker. The readings stabilize. For 90 seconds, the Large Hadron Collider, the most ambitious device in human history, tried to destroy itself. Applause breaks out in newsrooms. The world celebrates the success of science. But in the tunnel, helium fog still drifts through shattered steel. And those who saw the graphs that morning would never forget the shape of that curve. Inside the control room, 30 meters below the Swiss countryside, a wall of monitors pulsed with silent data. Each magnet, a 35-ton sculpture of precision, was alive with invisible power. 10,000 of them, aligned with the surgeon's obsession. Each one cooled near absolute zero. Each one flawless, or so they believed. Then came the whisper. A reading, off by a fraction of a degree. Another. Then silence. The team exchanged glances. Minor, perhaps. Routine. Engineers had debated these anomalies for weeks, and the schedule pressed forward. When the quench began, it didn't sound like destruction. It sounded like pressure escaping, a sigh from deep underground. But the sigh grew. The temperature surged. Within seconds, the cold vanished faster than fire could spread. A chain reaction ignited. Superconducting magnets, once perfect, snapped out of their dreamlike state, releasing energy meant to circle the ring, not explode through it. Cables vaporized. Metal screamed. The room filled with alarm tones, the kind no one had ever heard before because they were never supposed to. In the aftermath, an uneasy silence settled. Sensors showed that the quench had traveled hundreds of meters, tearing through sectors designed never to fail. And when they replayed the logs, the truth hit harder than the explosion itself. It hadn't come from nowhere. The warnings were there. The choice to continue had been human. Human precision had met human pressure, and physics had simply answered. When the dust finally settled, the tunnel looked like a battlefield frozen in ice. Supercooled helium had burst free, 6 tons in seconds, enough to fill a cathedral, now condensed into a frost that clung to twisted steel. Robotic crawlers moved through the wreckage, their cameras shaking with static. The magnets, 10,000 of them, had been built to tolerances so tight they made aircraft engineering look careless. Each connection between them was meant to be perfect. Almost all were, but one wasn't. Later analysis revealed what had gone wrong. A single electrical splice between 2 magnets had developed microscopic resistance, not through negligence, not through warning ignored, but through a hidden imperfection in the solder itself. It failed during a standard power-up, in less than a second. A tiny patch of metal, smaller than a fingernail, unleashed a chain reaction that ripped through the world's most sophisticated machine. No sensor could have seen it coming. No test at lower power could have found it. It was the kind of flaw that only reality could reveal. The ethics came later, in meeting rooms and midnight reports. How much uncertainty is acceptable when your system has no precedent? How far can you push toward perfection when every test is itself an experiment? One physicist later reflected that they had underestimated how violently ordinary materials behave under extraordinary conditions. And in that sentence lived the quiet truth of the disaster. It wasn't arrogance. It wasn't error. It was the collision between faith in design and the untamable physics of the universe. A reminder that even at the frontier of knowledge, certainty remains the most dangerous illusion. September 20th, 2008. Above Geneva, the world read a simple press release. Large helium leak into the tunnel. Faulty electrical connection between 2 magnets. Minimum 2 months downtime. On the surface, a routine update. Beneath, the reality was far more complex. Investigators arrived on September 22nd. The initial inspection revealed the scale. 53 magnets destroyed, 700 meters of tunnel compromised, thousands of superconducting connections requiring careful reinspection. The cost of human ambition was staggering, over $40 million in repairs and upgrades, and a restart timeline that stretched into November 2009. No heroic interventions, no moral gambles. The quench, the helium discharge, the cascade, all were automatic, executed within seconds by the LHC's sophisticated safety systems. The drama was in the aftermath, balancing transparency, public confidence, and institutional survival. Internal discussions focused on liability protocols, contractor coordination, and the unprecedented challenge of explaining failure to a watchful world. The repair was exhaustive. 3.3 kilometers of tunnel had to be warmed, inspected, and reinforced. Every connection could not be tested under full operational load. Engineering certainty met physical reality, revealing its limits. Imagine having to announce that the world's most expensive machine needs 14 months of repairs after just 9 perfect days. How do you balance transparency with institutional survival? Perfection is assumed, but control is always limited. The LHC would rise again, stronger, more resilient, but the hidden cost of certainty left an indelible mark on those who witnessed its fragility. November 2009. After 14 months of painstaking repairs, the LHC hummed to life once more. 53 destroyed magnets had been replaced. Thousands of connections meticulously inspected and reinforced. Safety protocols multiplied. Every quench, every helium flow, every microsecond of energy discharge now had multiple safeguards. Yet resilience was only a prelude to obsession. The question remained, why rebuild a machine that could so easily unravel itself? Why risk not just reputation, but the unknown forces of nature beneath the Alps, all for particles invisible to the naked eye? This was the God complex, humanity's relentless drive to touch creation itself. The LHC was not merely an experiment. It was an attempt to recreate the universe's first microsecond, to hold the blueprint of existence. One physicist put it plainly, we are trying to touch the face of creation. The risk is simply the price of that knowledge. The restart validated the danger. The universe demands a price for its secrets. Every new record-setting collision, every incremental increase in beam energy, reminded scientists that ambition and hubris walk hand in hand. The pursuit continued, not because the machine had survived, but because survival was never enough. The LHC now runs at energies 13 times higher than 2008. Each increase brings humanity closer to understanding creation, and closer to consequences we cannot predict. Where do you draw the line? The LHC's rebirth isn't a celebration. It's a doubling down on the ultimate pursuit, understanding the universe at any cost. Years have passed since the LHC's rebirth. Billions of collisions later, humanity glimpsed the Higgs boson, mapped particles, and probed the universe's fundamental structure. Yet, every achievement serves as a reminder. The closer we approach the blueprint of creation, the more fragile our grasp becomes. The LHC is a monument to human ambition, our desire to understand the cosmos, to hold creation in our hands. But it is also a mirror, revealing our limits, our hubris, and the subtle line between brilliance and recklessness. Engineers and physicists reflect quietly on that September day in 2008. No human choices stopped the cascade. Safety systems did. Yet the risk remains, not just in machinery, but in the philosophical drive that makes us return to the edge again and again. Every upgrade, every new collision, is a reaffirmation of the God complex. That knowledge is worth peril, that curiosity can overshadow caution. The world watches, breath held, as humanity dares once more to recreate a universe in miniature. We have the power to probe creation itself. Should we keep pushing boundaries, knowing the risks, or step back and accept limits? Every collision teaches us about the universe and about ourselves.